Thanks, Jenny, for the introduction. Thanks to the Orkana Group and also to Session for inviting me here tonight. I think it's a great opportunity for me to share with you what we have done in the last year and a half in terms of defining a global communication strategy for UNICEF, which is one of the leading non-profit organizations, one of the leading UN agencies, and also in support of that global communication strategy, the development of a program, a monitoring and evaluation program to try to measure the impact of our work. It's a bit challenging in a way because we are not selling cars or selling stuff. I mean, in UNICEF, our main goal is really to try to promote the right of the children everywhere and at every time. So everything we do is to try to make sure that children around the world are really feeling protected and all the rights are fulfilled. We're talking about almost half of the world population, people under 18 years old. So the mission of the organization is really important for us. But to measure the impact of our work is not very easy, as I said, because sometimes it's kind of challenging to try to identify what is the return on the investment. However, we are trying to define a global communication strategy which is very specific in what we want to achieve. And last year, the executive director approved a new global communication strategy which has three main objectives. One is related to voice, which is really position UNICEF as a leading voice for and with children. So in everything we do on online media, social media, TV, broadcast, we really want to be recognized as the leading organization for children. We want to be the leading voice for them in everything that we do. The second objective is to try to reach by 2017 1 billion people. So that with everything we do again in terms of communication and public advocacy, that at least 1 billion people around the world are familiar with our message. And finally, the third objective is about engagement, that we want to engage at least 50 million people acting regularly in support of UNICEF, but also in support of children. So in a way, we are trying to convert something that can be quite abstract to something which is a bit more specific, which is something a bit more tangible. So it's about positioning the organization as a leading voice. It's about reaching people with a message, and it's also about engaging them in what we do. In terms of engagement, there are different ways on how people can do it. It's probably the easiest way to do it is to make a donation, to donate money to UNICEF. But we're also looking at other ways where people can engage with UNICEF. Could be volunteering for the organization, could be signing a petition, could be engaging in some sort of initiatives or campaigns that we launch worldwide. So it's very important also for us to try to define clearly what are the actions that we are asking people to do in support of the organization. Just to give like a snapshot on where we are in terms of the global footprint in terms of social media, we are present in over 190 countries, and over 40% of the people that follow UNICEF on Twitter and Facebook and Weibo in China are millennials. So we are talking about over 16 million people around the world who are millennials. And that's what we have defined as one of the target audiences, the middle class on one hand, and then younger audiences and millennials on the other. UNICEF is already like a leading organization on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, in comparison to other non-profit and to other organizations. So in terms of the volume or the amount of people that are following the organization globally is clearly a leader. It's not only about Facebook and Twitter. I mean, it's clearly that in terms of social media in the Western world, Facebook and Twitter are really leading. But we are also looking at markets like in China, where Weibo, for example, is a leading social media network. So we're also trying to work with with our local office there to try to engage people in a market that for us here in the US is sometimes difficult to understand. So we're also working with the local office to try to engage local audiences in different ways. And then it's not only about the numbers, because the numbers are impressive for us, but it's also about the quality of engagement. And earlier this year in March, Diplomacy named UNICEF as by far the most effective international organization on Twitter. So we are always trying to improve the way we engage with the audience, the way we engage also with influencers. And the good thing is that the brand is very positive for us. It's very kind of easy for us to engage with people worldwide. So we have created a system where we can track in real time the number of followers we have, not only the global accounts, but we are looking at every single account that we have in 190 countries around the globe. And we're talking about Facebook, Twitter, and Weibo. So as of today, more or less, we have like almost 25 million followers worldwide. And the growth that we see is around 14%. We're estimating to reach, in April next year, 30 million followers, which is also in line with the goal that we have identified as reaching 50 million people by 2017. So it's also about creating systems and tools to be able to track in real time what is that we do. And what Jenny mentioned that we can see upstairs is going to be like it's a dashboard where we can see in real time all the conversations around the United Nations General Assembly and also the main topics that we are covering during the week. We're talking about peace, about child protection, gender, water and sanitation. And we have designed a dashboard and a project that is able to track in real time what people are saying across different social networks. And now I would like to share with you some of the lessons we have learned in the last year and a half. That has been the first time that in UNICEF we have developed such a global, such a kind of global program for a non-profit organization. I wanted to share that with you today because I think there are a few things that can probably be taken home by you and you can replicate that in some of your organizations. Keep it simple is probably the most important advice that we can give. When we started the process and the people from the Orkana team, Jenny, Megan, they can confirm that it was a bit ambitious. We wanted to have, like 50 KPIs. We wanted all the country offices to report like in real time every month, and then we wanted to aggregate the numbers. I mean, it was really crazy. And then we realized that, while technically that may be possible to do, in reality, it wasn't that way. So we tried to find ways to make it simple, just to focus probably on the top 4, 5, or 6 KPIs that we can track, and then also try to be a bit more flexible, allowing country offices, for example, our local offices, to report only on the things that they can report. As you may know, some of the KPIs require technical expertise, technology, or a company, in this case like Orkana, to do all the analysis for us, and sometimes that may have some cost implication for country offices, so we also need to keep that in mind, that simplicity and flexibility in that case was really crucial. Then this one is about taking M&E and measurement seriously within the organization, that M&E should not be an afterthought. And in UNICEF, despite being one of the global nonprofits in the world, we never had a global communication strategy before, and we never had an M&E framework as we do now. So it is taking some time and took some time for us to really be able to get people on board. And I'm talking about senior managers, from the executive director to the directors of the different divisions, to really understand that what we are doing, is very serious and it's very technical and very complex. So that we're still working on that, but getting senior management and colleagues on board has been really, really crucial. And we're using that in a way to change the way that we do business and the way we communicate. So when I present this project to my colleagues or to external partners, I never present this as a measurement program. I think this is a change management program. We are really asking people to change the way they work, to change the way that we do communication, because it's really focused on evidence. So we need to also change a little bit the culture of the organization. So what we did for that was to develop a comprehensive M&E framework that kind of explained clearly all the different components, all the different steps of the plan, and we are trying to explain that to people all the time. So it takes really time to get people on board, but has been, I think, it's crucial to make them understand that this is a serious thing. This one is about hiring the right people, develop human capital, and invest in capacity building. We also realized very quickly that we didn't have the capacity in our team to deal with such a program, to implement such a program. So we created a team within the Division of Communication, which is my team, that is now leading the implementation of the program. A program that is completely new. No one has done it before in UNICEF. So we also need to train our staff. I mean, when I say staff, I'm talking about the communication team, which is very important, but also we are training those that are not in the communication function. And that's very important because when you are sharing data with non-communication people, which is 95% of the time, you want them to understand. So, for example, if I had the head of of emergencies or the head of program looking at one of the reports that we get from Gorkana, I want them to really understand what is that we are measuring. And the report can go really well because the information you have there is really good and they understand and they value it, but it can go really bad because if they don't understand what you are trying to measure, it may create a lot of confusion, then they will forward the email to a big team, and then people, you have to be really, really careful on what you do with information. So capacity building and training, crucial. We're investing a lot on that. It's also taking a lot of time. It's taking time because we are talking about a truly global organization, 190 country offices, different languages, different capacities, so it's taking time. And again, with Gorkana, we are working on a number of initiatives to try to translate to the local level what we have done globally. This one is about working with the right partners, and you cannot do it alone. I said that before. It's impossible for a company or an organization to implement such an ambitious program just with internal resources. Basically because it's very technical, because you need technology, because you need specific tools to be able to track conversations, to analyze, and to codify all the clips and to get the dashboards. You cannot do it alone. If you want to do it alone, then you will have to invest a hell lot amount of money that probably it will kind of result in a very expensive operation for you that is not really your core business to do measurement and evaluation. You're implementing a program, but you need to hire the people who are the best in the industry to do that. And that's what we have done. We're working with a number of companies. Gorkana is for sure kind of the main partner in this program, but we're also working with other companies like Ubiquity, the media measurement. And we have also partnered with David Rockland in Ketchum. Many of you may know him. He's kind of a guru in the measurement industry. And he's providing us more it's like a senior advisor who is helping us to understand if the strategy and the direction we are taking is appropriate or not. So we meet every quarter. We have a meeting with Megan, who is account manager, with Jenny, with David Rockland, and with a group of senior managers in the division of communication. We look at the reports, and then they provide feedback and insights. And the discussions are really good because we get to discuss about very important issues. And it's good also for me because I get external people telling my colleagues what they should be doing. So it's also like a bit political there to bring people from outside who are experts to help. And then the third area of the partnership is that we are quite committed in the AMEC organization. So we are, with Eileen, we are leading the nonprofit group, and we actively participate in the annual meeting. We're also trying to bring on board more nonprofit organizations, and we are, in a way, committed to kind of bring the voice of nonprofit to such an important group. So seeking advice and not trying to reinvent the wheel is very important. Others may have already found a solution to problems you encounter. One thing that we see in the nonprofit and in the United Nations that sometimes we are not as professional as you guys in the profit sector. Companies, it's a bit more competitive. They invest more resources in measurement, in communication, in marketing. They know how to do things well, or sometimes they don't know how to do things well, but they have probably been there before. So we have created a group of what we call is an advisory board that meets twice a year. It's a group of senior communication managers from companies like MasterCard, Ketchum. Jeremy is also part of the board. And it's a group of 10, 15 people. They come together twice a year. Again, they look at the program, they look at the reports, and they provide feedback and guidance on things that we could be improving. So it's also like a flexible group. So John, if you want to join the group, you are welcome to do so. Next meeting will be in November. We would be delighted to have you on board. We're always trying to learn from companies like yours that have already been engaged in this area of work probably for a longer time. I have 2 more to go. I hope you find them in a way useful because for us has been sometimes a bit of a painful process, but we have learned a lot in the last year and a half. And this is what we want to share with you today. Failing fast, failing cheap, try again, improve, and scale up. This is very important. And as I said before, no one has done it before in UNICEF. It's the first time implementing such a program, so we didn't really know what to do or how to do it. So we have been trying different things, and piloting ideas in a small number of countries is a great strategy because we can invest some funds, just try to see if that works in specific countries, and then if it is successful, we can scale up to other countries or to regions, and if it doesn't work, then we change the approach. I also made reference before about sharing data with senior managers. And again, sharing data insights in a timely manner is very important, but you have to do it right. I find that the data and the insights and the KPIs, everything we get from Gorkana and other companies, which is really useful. Normally the reports are like 55, 60 pages, but most of my colleagues, they don't read it because they don't have the time. And when they do have the time, sometimes they don't understand because it's too technical or they don't understand, the background. So we have to translate all that amount of information, which is a lot and super, super useful for us. We have to translate it in a way that non-communication people and senior people, senior management can also understand. So preparing like a one page, for example, with the main highlights of the report is super useful. And also, again, trying to simplify what we do with a chart or with a few KPIs is something that is being quite helpful for us because we get people to understand a bit better what we do. We have probably 15, 16 KPIs, but my colleagues only look at one, which is the share of voice. So they look at, for example, what people are talking about children issues during the GA week, and they really want to see UNICEF being the leader there. And we can see that upstairs there is one pie chart which is showing the share of voice on two scenarios. One is on all global issues. So we're talking about all the United Nations agencies and all the issues. And then the other one is more focused on children. So from the global conversation related to the global goals and to the global issues, we are looking at how much is focused on children issues. And from that conversation, we are trying to estimate, and we're estimating actually quite effectively how much that belongs to UNICEF. And last week, for example, we had been leading the conversation with 47% of the voice. And that's what my colleagues really want to see. They want to see UNICEF as a leading voice when we talk about children issues. And this is the last one, is that measurement is an art. Do not try to apply the same model in all countries. Create tailored solutions to respond to the local needs and realities. And we are currently working with Megan and the team to try to translate again the global project into local projects. So it's a lot of work with the country office to try to find a solution that will work for them. Sometimes global companies do not have access to all the information that you need from a local market. So we need to work with a local company to try to get as much information as we can, to try to measure the KPIs that we are asking them to measure, and then in a way try to aggregate all the numbers from the countries into regions and then into global numbers. So that's kind of the next step in the project, being able to support a specific number of country offices. I think we're looking now at 15 or 20 country offices that will be able to replicate what we are doing globally, locally, either using the global provider or working with the local companies. So probably in the next 12 months or in the next year and a half, we should be able to see more of the result of this plan. Okay, thank you.